Hello, my name is Bello. You're welcome to the PhD podcast. I am so excited and I'm grateful to all of you guys who have been listening. I checked and I realized that this podcast had reached 3 nations already, including Nigeria. And I'm just overwhelmed by, how. So I'm so excited and I really am grateful that you guys continue to listen to me, even though I'm just a young boy trying to figure out things, but you still listen and try to pick one or two things in what I say, and I see your responses too. They are really humbling and I'm so excited. I'm just grateful. Thank you so much for your presence, your response, your loyalty, and thank you for sharing the podcast with your friends and spreading the word. I'm really excited and I'm grateful for all of that. Well, today I actually want to talk about something that is so important, something that I feel is something that is so important to me, that I value a lot, which is self-discovery, which is having a strong sense of identity, right? Becoming self-aware, like being aware of who you are, because I feel when you have this, then you are less confused, you are less uncertain, and you do not make bad decisions because you know who you are, you know what you are created for, and you know where you are supposed to be. So you know you're not supposed to be everywhere, you know you're not supposed to go everywhere, you know you're not supposed to entertain every kind of friend, you know not everybody is your friend. So you're able to position and place yourself in the place or in places where you are supposed to be placed, and that is where you even thrive and do the most, right? So I think the very first thing is to understand that there is nothing without a purpose. There is nothing that is created that is not created for a reason. No creator ever creates a thing and just creating a thing for the fun of it. In fact, if you're creating a thing for the fun of creating, that thing also has a purpose because you are creating it for fun, right? So there's nothing that is created for nothing, and the design of every created thing is actually inspired by the purpose. And if God is the one who created all of us, then I believe that in spite of genetics, there is a reason why God made us the way He made us, and it is because probably that is how we would be able to fit into what He wants us to do, or the activity, or what He has created us to do, right? Because sometimes, most of all of these things, we trying to change our body size, we trying to do this and do that, we trying to fight this and fight that, is just because of the insecurities that we have. And it is good that we are sincere with ourselves and that we work on ourselves and that we deal with our insecurities instead of trying to cover them up by trying to prove a point, right? Many times when you try to prove a point, you're just reflecting an insecurity, right? Because people who have a deep sense of identity do not always want to prove a point. They are quiet. They are quieter than people who do not really know who they are, people who are insecure, people who are afraid, people who are this or that, So I think it is very important that we get to know who we are. And the first thing is to really have the understanding that there is nothing that is without a purpose, and aside of genetics, that there is a reason why we appear the way we are and why we sound the way we are, and we must accept this. I remember how I used to not like my voice at all. I used to not like my voice totally. And I wanted a different sound, and I remember even faking voice when I was younger. It's very crazy, it's it's really crazy. But then I remember how I would try to speak in the kind of voice that I think I wanted, when I was much younger. And I had to just accept myself and accept my voice, especially when people began to tell me wow, I love your voice, wow, your voice is good. And some persons said to me that, wow, you have a golden voice, and I'm like, please. And somebody compared my voice to Tafawa Balewa, and I was like, can you guys stop whining me? There's a way somebody will compliment you and you will just believe that this thing they are saying is true. And there's a way somebody else will compliment you and you'll be like, I beg you, they whine me. And that kind, you don't really believe it. Maybe you even think the person is trying to insult you. Maybe it's the opposite. You know how somebody will be ugly and then you'll be like, you're fine today. You think they are insulting you. So there are some persons that were complimenting me before and were talking about how amazing they think my voice sound. And I did not believe it until some other persons who have no business complimenting me or my voice started also complimenting me, even strangers, and I would be like, wow. So I began to take note, and this was the sound that I did not like at all. So I began to embrace it and accept it. So I think this is one thing that we all must also need to do. There is a reason aside genetics where we appear the way we are. Your body size, the size of your eyes. There is a reason why we are the way we are. There is a reason why we sound the way we sound. And until we accept this thing and come in tune with it, then we will not be able to unleash our potential. So I think it is very important that we accept ourselves, believe in ourselves. Like for me now, my voice is the best sound in the world. Like there's no instruments that sounds like my voice. There's no sound instruments that sounds like my voice. There is no voice that sounds like my voice. I feel like my voice is the real deal. Although sometimes I still feel afraid and I still feel ashamed, but then the awareness of what I have, which came, of course, through people, and yes, I must say that it started to come through people, and then I also began to discover that there's nothing that is without a purpose. So I accepted the voice and I loved it. I began to love it. So you must begin to love yourself. If you have this understanding of the fact that there is nothing that is created for the fun of it, everything is created and designed the way it is designed to fit the purpose it was created to serve, then you need to begin to fall in love with yourself. Then the next thing is, I think, self-discovery is a progressive adventure. This is one thing I think we all need to know, that self-discovery is a progressive adventure. Self-discovery is not a once and for all thing. You need to be self-aware. You need to be aware of who you are. You need to continue to discover yourself part time, because I feel we continue to evolve, and because we evolve, we must continue to check and recheck. We must continue to seek clarity. We must continue to find out who we are. We must continue to be, so we can be in our element, so we can be in our element, because that is where our power is. That is where our life is. So let's talk about David now, how that he killed the lion and the bear with his bare hands, and then when he was to go kill Goliath, now the king Saul gave him armor to put on, and he actually wore this armor, but he was not comfortable in this armor, so he had to take off the armor, and then he went against Goliath with what he knew and what he has and what was, as it were, his element, right? So we need to continue to discover who we are, and even while we evolve and get into positions and office, we must continue to check so we don't take up things that make us uncomfortable. Sometimes we take up these things and they make us feel good, putting up the armor of war, probably the armor of a king. You feel like, this is royalty, and you feel like, wow, I'm so defended, like there is no spear that will get through me. This is a shield. So you feel like you have a shield, something that protects you, but probably you do not even need all of that protection. Probably you are a badass like David. You don't need to put on those kind of armor, because you have some spiritual armor that are with you. So I think we need to continue to just do a check and get clarity of who we are, because there are sometimes you can step into places, go into positions, become someone, or get promoted, and then you begin to lose yourself because of this promotion or the things that are coming for you, right? So I think it is very important that we continue to find clarity and we continue to ask questions about who we are, about what we are, so we can have better understanding. And then this will also make us to avoid unnecessary, unhealthy comparison. When you have a deep understanding of who you are and you are in your element, it doesn't matter who is doing what, you are not bothered. It doesn't matter whether all your mates are buying cars, you are not bothered. Like, you are not disturbed. So I feel and I believe that when you have a deep sense of identity, you do away with unhealthy comparison. So it doesn't matter if everybody is buying a car, if everybody owns a car. It doesn't matter if everybody owns a house or everybody owns. And this is not to say that we become complacent. No, this is not complacency now. Right? This is you being aware of who you are. Because I feel complacency is the expression of nearsightedness, or like being myopic, or being insecure. People who are insecure, people who are nearsighted, are people who are complacent. Now, this is not complacency because you have big visions, right? But then you also understand that the fact that everybody is building a house in Banana Island doesn't mean you should have a house in Banana Island. You don't even want to have a house in Banana Island. It's not because you don't have the money to buy it, but all of that unnecessary, unhealthy comparison and that peer pressure does not get to you, because you have a deep understanding of who you are and you understand your element. You are in your element, and you progressively and every time, part time, check and seek clarity of yourself. You continue to check and make sure that you are still in tune with yourself, right? I think that is very, very important. Shame is gone. Shame cannot stand where somebody is so aware and deeply aware of themselves. And fear too is also gone. You are not afraid. And then this imposter syndrome too is gone, because you know that you are worthy of what you have. You are worthy of all of these achievements. You are worthy of having peace. You are worthy of living the best life. So all of these things give way when you are in your element, when you have a deep self awareness and deep sense of identity, right? So I really think it's important that we understand that this self-awareness and discovery and seeking clarity is going to eradicate shame, fear, imposter syndrome, all the unnecessary peer pressure and unhealthy comparisons. So, and the other thing I think, which is the last thing I would say, is that you must be courageous. You must be courageous and show the world who you are. It is not enough to discover who you are and to discover your place, but then hide yourself. Like the word says, you can't light a candle and then put it under a bushel. You must put it on the candle stand, right? So it can give light to the entire room. So I think the reason when we discover ourselves as light, when we discover ourselves, it is so that we are revealed, so that we are exposed, right? Because the next expectation of the creatures awaited the manifestation of the sons of God. So it is so that you are exposed to the world. It is so that you are seen. If your works are good, you bring them into the light so men will see and glorify your Father. So you don't discover who you are to hide yourself. So it is very important that we are courageous. It is very important that, and this is why I said we must be courageous. Courage is what will bring you out. Courage is what will take you to war. Courage is, I've seen people who are courageous take up jobs that they are not even qualified for, right? So it is very important that we are courageous. It is very important that we build our courage. And I think knowing who we are and embracing who we are and believing who we are, it's one of the ways to build our courage. When you accept yourself, you're courageous and you can stand before anybody and speak, right? So I think these things, if you put them to heart, I just hope that all of these informations would help you come to a discovery or spark this curiosity in you to continue to discover or continue to ask questions about your identity, ask questions and discover who you are and what you are, and where you are in fact, and what you're supposed to be doing, and all of that. So thank you so much for listening to this episode also, and I hope you it was profitable. I hope it helped you some way, or you had something that really blessed you some way. So please, you can go ahead and share the episode. One of the ways you help me is by sharing the episode and by also leaving responses, so I am able to know how the episode was beneficial to you, and this really helps me in growing and becoming better. So thank you so much for being part of the PGD podcast, and I will see you again in the next episode. Have a wonderful day.